the one you chose. You did not find this message by chance. The hand of the Most High has brought you to this moment with purpose and precision, not by chance but by divine appointment. Heaven has been putting things in order around you, like time and events, and now the quiet that used to surround some things is starting to fade. Chosen one, the stirring you have felt and the quiet unrest without a clear cause have been signs, not confusion. You are on the edge of a supernatural turning point where what was hidden is about to be revealed and what was held back is getting ready to move. Anointed one, listen to this with respect and understanding. You are not just getting ready for change, you are getting close to a change that will have weight, power, and consequences. The Bible tells us that the vision will come at the right time, and even though it may take a while, it will not lie. In Habakkuk 2:3, it says that this is the time when discernment becomes protection and awareness becomes alignment. There is a man in your life whose presence is important to what is happening, and heaven is not quiet about it. You are not being told to be afraid, but to be ready. Elevation, transfer, and transformation frequently come shrouded in instruction rather than spectacle. God's reminders don't always come in the form of thunder or explanation. Sometimes they come in the form of something quiet, steady, and familiar that the soul can rest in when it needs to be clear. What has been prepared is still there, waiting in peace. You are chosen, and there is a reason why this message is weighing heavily on your spirit and making you feel like you need to act quickly. You are not reading these words by accident, and you are not feeling this tension for no reason. I talk to you as someone who has been through times when everything on the outside seemed fine, but everything on the inside knew something was wrong. Heaven sometimes makes the air around a situation feel tighter, not to scare you, but to make you more aware. This is one of those times. There is a man in your life who is close enough to change your mood and make things clearer. Heaven is calling your attention now because the season has changed. Chosen one, you probably saw him go through the motions, talk nicely, show up on time, and blend in without drawing attention to himself. Nothing seemed extreme on the outside. There were times when I doubted my own instincts because the signs and evidence weren't very clear, but discernment doesn't usually come in a loud way. It comes as a disturbance that won't go away. Others haven't been able to see the storm inside this man, but your spirit has felt it. Heaven has let you see not because you are afraid, but because you are in a position to see what others don't. Picked one. This isn't about blaming someone. This is about getting things in line. Heaven also starts to show you what can't go with you when it's ready to lift you up. Sometimes God lets someone stay close to you longer than you think. Not because they belong in your future, but because your release is linked to their exposure. I've seen this pattern happen over and over again in my own life and in the lives of people I've walked with. Delays that didn't make sense, resistance that felt personal, and energy drains that couldn't be explained by just the situation. The weight came off later, and things became clear. That is how things are going now. Chosen one, you weren't imagining the unrest you felt. The Holy Spirit was gently, steadily, and patiently pushing. Sleepless nights, repeated thoughts that circled without resolution, a sense of heaviness after interactions that should have felt neutral. These are not signs of being weak. They show that you are sensitive to the truth. Heaven doesn't whisper to scare you, heaven whispers to get you ready. Nothing that is hidden stays hidden forever, as it is written, and what is said in the dark will eventually come to light. This isn't a threat, it is a promise to get things in line. Picked one, at some point, you don't have to force the truth to come out anymore. It starts to come out on its own. What is coming is not chaos, it is fixing. I know how scary this part can be because it comes between knowing and seeing. You feel like something is coming to an end, but you don't know how yet. Heaven wants you to be awake and not worried, and to be alert and not react. This change will have an effect on more than one life, but you don't get to decide what happens. Your job is to be clear while God does the separating. I want you to hear this clearly. Anointed One, you are not being warned because you are in danger, you are being warned because you are safe. Heaven always talks before attacks, and this is the moment when things start to move. The person who sent this message is not in danger, but they are being removed from the situation. Some people don't attack head-on, they drain without making a sound, they mix up in a subtle way. They block without meaning to because of unresolved darkness. When God wants to lift someone up, He takes away what makes them unhappy. The chosen one. You might have wondered why this person was allowed to get so close. Why did discernment take so long? Why did it take so long to get clear? I have asked those questions before. The answer often comes later. God lets you be close to people so you can see patterns, not just people. What you learned this season wasn't about him, it was about making your spiritual vision sharper. That's getting ready, that's what training is, that is a part of your rise. Heaven is stepping in now because what is ahead of you needs a clean environment. There can't be both supernatural alignment and quiet deception. When there is confusion, divine provision can't flow freely. The change you are about to make will bring you more power, authority, and growth, whether in peace, purpose, or provision. For some, this means a sudden change in their finances that happens when the blockage is removed. For some, it is clarity that lets you open doors that were locked before. Heaven is on board with this change either way. The one who was chosen. When God is ready to move you forward, He doesn't always tell you everything first. He wants you to trust Him. Trust that you will stay still. Trust to be quiet when your feelings want to talk. Let the truth come out without your help. You don't have to deal with this right now. You don't need to show. Heaven is already taking care of what you felt. Your peace is proof that God is at work. Stay grounded in the ordinary while the spiritual changes happen. Anointed One, do the dishes, go for a walk, take a deep breath. These little anchors keep your nervous system steady while heaven moves things around that you can't see. You are safe, you are safe, you are not late. This isn't the storm, this is the space before the promise. You are the chosen one. As this clearing goes on, you might start to see how much energy you were carrying that wasn't really yours. Some relationships don't hurt right away, but they do hurt over time. There have been times when I was so tired that I couldn't name the cause, but later I realized it was because I was close to someone who lived in quiet contradiction. Heaven is showing you this now because you need strength that is not broken in your next season. What is being taken away from you is not punishment, it is exactness. Chosen one, take this in carefully. This man's exposure isn't sudden because the truth has already been measured in the unseen. Heaven has already made the decision about what feels like a turning point on earth. God sometimes lets things look stable so that when they are revealed, no one can deny where they came from. You are seeing the visible echo of a judgment that is not real. This is why you don't need to hurry, explain, or defend yourself. You don't need to get involved in what's going on. Picked one. You might be wondering why discernment didn't come clearly at first but slowly over time. That's how God often keeps the heart safe. Too much knowledge too soon can make you less caring. Being partially aware keeps humility alive. I have learned that God doesn't often show us the whole picture at once because He is shaping how we carry truth, not just what we know. You are allowed to trust because trust is not foolishness when it is offered before revelation, it is obedience, and now the truth has come out. Anointed One, some of the delays you had weren't heaven's resistance, they were containment. While this man was close, some doors couldn't open, some provisions couldn't flow while interference was still in your field. This is especially true when the divine increase is close. Heaven is very careful about letting things grow. When God gets ready to change your wealth, whether it's money, relationships, or spirituality, He first takes away the drain. What was taking your energy without your knowledge is now being cut off. The Chosen One, I want to talk about what I've been through. I prayed for things to speed up at times, not knowing that what I really needed was to be alone. It felt like a mix of sadness and relief when the separation finally happened. That mix is sacred. It means that your heart is still beating and your judgment is still working. You are responding correctly if you feel both sad and peaceful right now. God doesn't want you to toughen up, He wants you to stay clear. Chosen One, the man who said this word didn't just make you feel bad, he changed the momentum. His unresolved inner life made it hard for you to move forward. This isn't always on purpose. Some people block by bringing chaos into shared space. Holiness cannot coexist with concealed compromise. That's why God takes things away without asking you first. He is keeping safe what He put in you before you even knew it. The Chosen One. This is also why heaven is telling you that justice doesn't always look like a big deal. Sometimes it seems like truth is becoming clear without you having to say anything. Patterns can seem to repeat until other people can't help but notice them. I've seen this happen before, where silence spoke louder than any fight could. Let God take care of the exposure. You shouldn't have to bear the weight of the outcome. Chosen One, even if things don't change right away, the next thing will feel lighter. Often, the first sign of a breakthrough is lightness. When the burden is lifted before the blessing comes, it means that everything is back in order. This is when things become clearer, your gut feeling gets stronger, and peace comes back without any effort. The confusion that used to follow you will start to go away. You will find it easier to make choices. You will sleep more soundly. You won't have to think too hard to figure out what doesn't belong anymore. Picked one. For some people, this moment is directly related to provision. Once this interference is gone, money that felt stuck will start to move again. It could come through unexpected channels, confirmations that take longer than expected, or sudden chances that don't require much effort. That's how heaven often provides. It doesn't wear you out, it meets you. When God gives you more, it brings peace with it. You are not being raised up because you are perfect, Anointed One. You are being raised because you are willing to stay humble, teachable, and in line. God doesn't give more to people who need to be in charge. He gives it to people who can let go. That's why this removal is important. It has nothing to do with judgment. It's all about being ready. Chosen One. You might start to remember things, hear conversations in your head, or have things from the past suddenly make sense. This is not going back, it's going forward. Your mind is closing loops that confusion left open. Let it happen without judging it. Thinking about things is part of getting better. Don't reach back to fix anything. Let understanding come to you slowly. Anointed One. Don't give in to the urge to tell people what you see. Being quiet right now is a sign of strength. Letting God speak for you gives you strength. I have learned that the truth lasts longer and hurts less when it comes out on its own. When peace moves you, speak. Don't speak when emotion pushes you. Later on, the right words will come, or they may not even be needed. The one who was chosen. At the end of this part, I want you to accept one thing: you aren't losing anything that was supposed to follow you. You are letting go of things that couldn't move on to the next season. This is not an ending based on fear, it is a change that comes from care. Heaven is making space, and what goes in that space will show clarity, stability, and purpose. Don't move, stay in touch with reality. Things are happening that are good for you, even if you don't know how yet. Chosen one, as the clearing gets deeper, you might start to feel a strange calmness around you, not void, but expanse, space where noise used to be, space where your thoughts don't clash anymore. This is usually the first sign that heaven is getting closer. When God takes away something that is getting in the way, He doesn't always give an explanation right away. He fills it with silence. That stillness is not passive. It is active alignment that is starting to take root in your life. Don't be surprised if your body starts to react before your situation does. Anointed one, you might notice that your shoulders drop without you having to try, your breath slows, and your sleep gets deeper, even if you still have questions. This is your nervous system letting go of something it has been holding onto for too long. The body knows things before the mind does. God speaks as clearly through peace as He does through words. You were never meant to fight what heaven had already decided. Chosen one, sometimes the best thing you can do is hold back. God doesn't want you to chase clarity when He steps in. He wants you to take it. You are being called to stillness over and over again for this reason. Being still makes it easier to see things clearly. It gets duller with noise. People have missed their big break not because they didn't believe, but because they rushed when God told them to wait. The man whose presence once clouded your world no longer has the same power. Even though you can still see him moving around, he can't reach as far as he used to. There are limits to heaven that you can't see, and those limits are now in effect. This is why your responses are changing. You don't get triggered like you used to. That change doesn't mean you don't feel anything. It is authority coming back to where it belongs. Picked one. Sometimes authority doesn't make itself known. In some cases, it seems calm when it used to scare people. There are times when it seems like silence is all you need to say. I remember a time when God taught me that peace isn't the same as running away. It was proof that I didn't have to prove anything anymore. That is the lesson that is happening to you right now. When heaven fights for you, you don't have to speak up. This is also a time for recalibration. Anointed one, you might want to make your days simpler, cut down on stimulation, and protect your time more fiercely. This isn't withdrawal, it is smart. When God is about to lift you up, He often gets rid of distractions first. You need to be able to focus on what you're stepping into, and chaos makes that hard. No matter if the elevation comes from provision, purpose, or placement, it will need clarity as its space. The one who was chosen. For some, this adjustment will have small but strong effects on their finances. You might find that you spend less without even trying, wanting simplicity over show. This is not a lack, this is how stewardship works. Heaven-sent gifts flow through hands that know how to hold without holding on. When money comes in all of a sudden, like it often does after a long time of not having it, it doesn't test your faith, it tests your alignment. Before God does anything outside of you, He gets you ready inside. I want to be clear with you, anointed one. Some delays were not spiritual warfare. Some delays were meant to keep people from seeing things too soon. Some people would not have been able to handle getting to your next season. There are people who were never meant to see what God is going to do through you. Separation is often the mercy that keeps provision safe. I know what happens when an increase comes too soon. It makes you feel more insecure instead of more purposeful. God won't do that to you, chosen one. You are being trained to have clarity without being arrogant and authority without being harsh. This doesn't happen very often. This is why it seemed like the process took a long time. Heaven is careful with people it wants to trust. You might have thought you were being ignored, but you were being watched. Not by people, but by God. He was watching how you acted when things didn't make sense. He was deciding how you would move once everything was in place. You may feel the need to look back on the past, to replay conversations, and to see things in a new light. Let that happen slowly. Don't be quick to point fingers. Without compassion, insight turns into bitterness. God is giving you understanding so you can be free, not so you can be weighed down. Replace anger with wisdom. That exchange is sacred. The one who was chosen. This is also the time of year when you become more aware of your surroundings. Some places may start to feel uncomfortable, not because they are dangerous, but because they don't fit who you are becoming anymore. Believe that feeling. It's not fear, it's guidance. I have left rooms that used to feel safe because my spirit grew too big for them. That is not saying no, that is alignment doing its job in a quiet way. You may notice that your prayers are changing. Anointed One, they are getting shorter, more focused, and less emotional. This is not distance, this is maturity. God doesn't care about how loud you are, He reacts to the truth. A single honest sentence can be more powerful than an hour of hard work. Pray the way you are, not the way you think you should be. Heaven and honesty meet without any fuss. The one who was chosen. As this part comes to an end, hold on to this knowledge. You are not in transition because something went wrong. You are in transition because things are about to come together. The removal you went through was not a loss. It was space that was made clear, a peaceful place that doesn't need an explanation, room for giving that doesn't wear you out, room for purpose that feels natural instead of forced. Anointed One, stay grounded in the ordinary while the extraordinary gets ready to show up. Eat well and sleep when you can. Take your time walking. These simple things tell your spirit that you are safe. When the next movement comes, you won't know it by how urgent it is, but by how easy it is. That's how you'll know it came from God, the one who was chosen. There is a specific fatigue that arises not from uncertainty but from perseverance. It settles in when the promise is no longer a question, but the time still seems to drag on. I have felt this weight on my own body, the kind that comes in the morning when you do everything right and nothing seems to change. This is not a sign of weakness. This is what it costs to stay faithful after the heart has already made up its mind. Heaven sees this kind of determination more clearly than loud faith. The waiting you are in now is not empty space. Anointed One, it is ground that is active. Roots grow in the dark, not in the light. There were times when I kept coming to normal days with something holy that no one else could see. I was folding laundry, answering emails, and standing in traffic, all while knowing that something had been said over my life that hadn't happened yet. That kind of waiting teaches you how to live without needing to be told everything is okay all the time. It shows you how to trust without having to do anything. Chosen One, you don't have to feel anything to keep the promise. You need to remember. Remember what was agreed upon when the noise stopped. Remember how the calm replaced the confusion. Think back to the time when you didn't have to defend your clarity. This is the kind of faith that lasts through the years. Emotional highs don't last, the conviction stays. Your excitement does not keep heaven going, it is honored by how consistent you are, chosen one. There are times when faith just means getting up and going on with your day, being kind even when no one notices, being honest even when there are easy ways out, staying still when the mind wants to race ahead. I have learned that God often tests our trust not by what we say, but by how we act when we don't see any new signs. Obeying quietly has a lot of power in the unseen. The chosen one, you might feel tired but not discouraged, and that difference is important. Being tired doesn't mean you can't call, it just means that you've been responsible for a long time. There is no shame in needing rest from heaven, it honors you for being there without getting angry. There is a reason why the Bible says that those who wait are renewed instead of rushed. Renewal happens slowly, layer by layer, until strength comes back on its own. This is also where remembrance becomes a rock for the anointed one, not nostalgia, but remembering where you came from. Remembering how far you've come so far, remembering prayers that were answered in a quiet way, remembering protection you only saw after the fact. When I remembered those times on purpose, not to convince myself but to calm myself, the waiting got easier. You don't always have to explain faith, it needs to be familiar sometimes. Picked 1. I have come to believe in a simple truth. Instead of constant explanations or dramatic signs, small, repeatable reminders are often what keep faith strong. Those reminders don't shout, they come back, they meet you in the same place every time until your strength comes back on its own. One of these quiet reminders has been placed below, either in the description or the pinned comment, and it stays there without being asked. Chosen one, after that reminder, the work continues inside, not striving but staying on track. Those who can wait for the promise to come true will see it come true. This is where patience turns into something sacred and powerful. I've seen God work most clearly when there was no real need for it. That was when alignment got stronger and clarity stayed the same. Chosen one. Faith every day isn't dramatic, it seems like picking peace when anxiety tries to plan for the worst. It looks like not talking about things that are still forming too soon. It seems like you can trust that what was taken away won't be replaced with confusion. You don't need to see proof that heaven is close all the time. You can tell it's steady enough. You may sometimes wonder if you are doing enough. Anointed one, that question itself is often a sign that you are taking care of this. You don't have to work for what God has already decided, He wants you to stay available. Availability looks like being open without being desperate, it looks like movement without stress, it looks like taking a break without feeling bad about it. Picked 1. This part of the trip changes how you will handle what comes next. This season teaches you to be a good steward before you get a lot of things. This season teaches you how to ground yourself before you pay attention if it includes visibility. This season teaches you to hold back before you have power if it includes authority. Heaven makes room before letting go. That is not delay, that is mercy. I want to speak softly into this space. Anointed one, you can feel tired without doubting the promise. You can move slowly without being afraid of losing something. You can live fully in the present without worrying about the future. God doesn't worry about timing, He is precise. What is happening to you now will help you deal with what comes next. Chosen one, as this part comes to an end, settle into the quiet strength that is already yours. You haven't stopped, you haven't drifted, you are in the middle of getting ready for something that is not going to happen. This is the kind of season that slowly builds strength and then suddenly gives you fruit. Stay calm, stay here, even though you can't see it. What has been promised is still moving. The one who was chosen. You might be able to see a quiet strengthening happening below the surface by now. Not excitement, not urgency, but determination. This is the kind of determination that comes from walking for a long time without falling over or waiting for a long time without getting angry. I have come to see this stage as sacred because it is where strength becomes power. What used to feel like work now feels like posture. You are no longer getting ready, you are up, chosen one. At this point, the promise often stops feeling far away and starts to feel like it's part of you. It doesn't just live in prayer or your mind anymore. It starts to change how you react, how you talk, and how you choose to rest instead of reacting. There was a time when nothing seemed to change on the outside, but everything had changed inside. I made calmer decisions. My responses became less harsh. I didn't need to explain myself anymore. That change inside came before every change outside that followed. The chosen one. Heaven makes people disciplined who it wants to trust. Not strict control, but order from within. You are learning how to be clear without being in a hurry and confident without showing it. This is especially important when what is coming has power, influence, or money. Instability happens when things suddenly change without any order. God doesn't give you things until He knows you can handle them. You may now notice that you don't care as much about convincing others of what you know. Anointed one, this is not a withdrawal, that's what it is. Truth does not need to be confirmed all the time once it has settled deeply. I have seen how God stops people from wanting to do the right thing just before He does something visible. That silence does not mean losing your voice, it is a better version of it. The one who was chosen. This part of the journey often includes small tests, like little annoyances, minor problems, and chances to give in that don't seem like a big deal. These times show what you have become. You are not weak, so you are not being tempted. People are watching you because you are ready. Heaven sees how you deal with small things when you know something big is coming. Chosen one. Here, daily faith looks like being in line without getting applause. It looks like choosing honesty when no one would notice the other option. It looks like being in the moment instead of running away to the future. I have learned that God often lets things go suddenly after long periods of time when everything seems normal. This stage is important for that reason. It teaches you to enjoy life where you are, not just where you're going. Chosen one. If a wealth shift is coming, this season is shaping how you will handle it. Before you get a lot of things, you are learning how to be patient, clear, and simple. I've seen how people who learned to be happy early on dealt with more later on with peace. Wealth doesn't test how generous you are as much as it tests how grounded you are. God gets your inner life ready so that provision is a tool, not a burden. You may also feel like your focus is getting narrower. Anointed one, you don't care about some conversations anymore. Some things that used to grab your attention no longer do. This is not being alone, it is alignment. God often draws you inward right before He sends you outward with great care. What you keep safe now will keep you safe later. The one you chose. There is also a quiet confidence growing that doesn't show itself. You are less shaken by not knowing what will happen, less likely to react to noise, and less likely to need results to feel safe. That kind of stability is hard to find. It is made, not given. Heaven gives power to people who can handle change without getting upset. Anointed one, take a moment to honor how far you've come without rushing the rest. You don't have to check your progress every day. You can often see growth after the fact. I have thought about times when I thought nothing was happening, only to realize that they were putting together everything I needed next. Have faith that the process is working, even if you can't see the results yet. One that was chosen. Stay alert but relaxed as this part settles. You don't need to ask for permission. You are being put in place. You won't have to rush or show that you're ready for what's next. It will come to you where you are. This is the strength that helps you move forward. Stay steady. The base is set, and what is built on top of it will last. The one who was chosen. When preparation is done with its quiet work, there is a change. It doesn't make a big deal out of itself. It settles down like a sure thing. You might feel it as a calm confidence that doesn't need to be reassured anymore. This is the point at which alignment stops feeling weak and starts to feel strong. I have experienced this moment in my own life when I realized I was no longer preparing for disappointment. I was just there, grounded, and ready without trying. Anointed one. This is when the outside world starts to react differently, though not in a big way at first. Conversations change their tone, opportunities come up without trying, resistance loses its hold. Things that used to take work start to move easily. That ease is not a coincidence. It is the result of alignment reaching its peak. Heaven doesn't respond to urgency, it responds to readiness. You may notice that you are less reactive now, chosen one. Things that used to make you feel something don't anymore. This is not being indifferent, it is the power that is settling in the body. Authority doesn't have to be in charge or make things right, it just stays strong. I've seen how God strengthens His people on the inside before giving them visible duties. When authority comes before grounding, it falls apart. When grounding comes first, authority stays. Anointed one. This is also where trust grows without any effort. You are no longer practicing the promise to keep it alive. It naturally lives in you. That's how you can tell it's real. Something that is really from God does not need to be reminded of all the time. You start to do it every day. You carry it quietly, like a tree does with sap before it bears fruit. The one who was chosen. There may be times now when you feel movement coming not as fear, but as readiness. This is not the same as anticipation. Anticipation pulls you forward, readiness stays still. I have learned that God often moves the fastest when we stop looking ahead to the future. He brings what is next to us when we are fully present. Anointed one, notice how much better your judgment has gotten. You can see more clearly without thinking about it. You recognize alignment without explanation. This is the fruit of waiting well. Discernment refined through endurance is steady and accurate. It does not rush to label or judge. It simply knows. That knowing is protection. Chosen one. If what is coming includes increased responsibility, influence, or provision, this stage ensures that you can carry it without losing yourself. Many people ask for expansion without understanding its cost. Expansion magnifies everything that exists internally. God does not rush that process for those He intends to preserve. He builds depth before width. You are experiencing that depth now. Anointed one, you may feel drawn to close unfinished loops in your life. Not out of fear, but out of clarity. Small adjustments, quiet boundaries, gentle endings. This is wisdom, not withdrawal. When God prepares to open something new, He often invites us to leave space intentionally. What you release now creates room for what will arrive without strain. Chosen one, I want to acknowledge something important. There were moments when you stayed faithful without feeling inspired. That matters. Inspiration fades, Faithfulness remains. I have seen God honor those seasons more than any visible act of devotion. Showing up when nothing moved outwardly formed a resilience that cannot be shaken by change. Anointed One, this resilience is what allows sudden shifts to be received without chaos. When God moves quickly, He moves into prepared ground. That is why this journey unfolded gradually. You are not being surprised by what comes next. You are meeting it from a place of stability. Chosen One, notice how your inner dialogue has changed. You speak to yourself with more patience. You allow space for rest without guilt. These are signs of healing. Integrated, not just understood. Integrated healing becomes capacity. Capacity attracts trust. Trust invites release. Anointed One, this is also where gratitude becomes quieter, not performative, not declared, simply present. I have found that when gratitude settles deeply, it no longer needs to be named constantly. It shapes how you receive and how you give. That posture keeps the heart open as expansion arrives. Chosen One, as this part comes to rest, recognize where you are standing. You are not waiting for permission. You are not chasing confirmation. You are aligned and available. What unfolds next will not require you to change who you are. It will meet the version of you that has already been formed through endurance, clarity, and restraint. Remain steady. The ground beneath you is ready, and what approaches will recognizes that readiness without effort. Chosen One, at this stage, something subtle but unmistakable begins to happen. You stop scanning the horizon for signs. You stop checking the door to see if it is about to open, not because expectation died, but because trust matured. This is where faith becomes embodied. It lives in how you move, how you speak, how you respond to the ordinary moments that once felt heavy. I have known this shift myself. The moment when waiting no longer felt like suspension but like readiness already achieved. Anointed One, this is often when heaven tests not your belief but your posture. Can you remain grounded when movement begins to whisper? Can you stay gentle when momentum returns? Many people imagine elevation as a rush, but I have seen that true elevation arrives quietly, almost respectfully. It does not shove you forward, it meets you where you are already standing. Chosen One, you may notice that people respond to you differently now, not because you are trying to influence them, but because your presence has changed. There is less urgency in your energy, less need to explain or persuade. Authority that has been formed in silence carries a different weight. I have watched conversations soften simply because I no longer needed to be understood. That shift did more than any argument ever could. Anointed One, this is also where discernment becomes relational. You sense who can walk with you into what is coming and who must remain behind without resentment. There is no drama in this knowing, just clarity. God does not ask you to sever violently what He is asking you to release gently. When alignment is real, separation happens without force. Chosen One, you may feel an internal invitation to simplify even further. Fewer commitments, cleaner rhythms, more intentional rest. This is not shrinking, it is consolidation. Before God expands your reach, He often condenses your focus. I have learned that clarity multiplies impact more than effort ever could. What you protect now will amplify what it comes next. Anointed One, there is also a quiet confidence forming around provision, not certainty of how, but certainty of source. When you know where provision comes from, you stop chasing channels,